All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. I am your host, Trey. So excited to see you guys today. So excited to talk about this topic. We are on episode 11, right? Almost in our teens. I'm super excited that you guys have stuck with us this long. If you're in this video, share this video. Especially if you're a parent, if someone's going to become a parent, or if you're a past parent and you've seen some stuff or heard some stuff that you want to put us on to, share this video. So without further ado, it's episode 11, things I wish I'd known before I became a parent. So I brought some parents with me to talk about this topic. Without further ado, Clarence and Tati, can you guys introduce yourself for our viewers and just tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Tatiana. This is my husband, Clarence. We have two children, our daughter who is 13 years old, she's entering high school, and our son who is 10, entering middle school this fall.
And we just want to thank Trey for giving us this opportunity to share some of our parenting, skills and unskills with the viewers and also the panelists here today. This is actually our first time doing a podcast, so we're really excited about this time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Super, super dope, right? I'll tell you guys a real quick fun fact, right? Clarence and Tati have been married for half as long as I've been alive, right? So they got some time in. So you might just get some marriage tips, right? You might even get a few marriage tips. So let's tune in for that and listen closely, because you might just find a gem in the middle of them telling you how to change a diaper, right? So Tiffany, why don't you introduce yourself for our viewers and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Tiffany. I'm a mother of one. My daughter name is Grace. She's 9 years old, so I'm 9 years in the game. And I currently live in Maryland. It's a new journey for me and Grace, trying something different. And so far, it's been great. Yeah.
Nice. And Tiffany was also off air telling me about a counseling program. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that program?
Yes, so there is a company called Urban Trauma Counseling. Urban Trauma Counseling is a Black-owned therapist services. They offer services virtual, over the phone, and also in person. It is located in Maryland, but like I said, you can have your access to your therapist 24/7, whether it's virtual, whether it's over the phone or in person. It's a really great company to have, especially that is Black owned. All of the therapists are Black and Hispanic as well. There's Hispanic therapists and Black therapists, but it's a really great company, and they focus on marriage, they focus on divorce, they focus on just anxiety, depression, just everyday living, and it's a great company. So if you're interested, Trayquan will put up the link and click it and just open up, and so that we could just be a better you. Especially if you're a mom, a single mom, or a mom who's newly single, or just a new parent. It's definitely something to have, because sometimes we just don't want to talk to our family, we want to talk to our friends, we want to just talk to somebody who don't know us. So it's a really great company. So look into it if you're looking for therapy.
No. And when you really look at that, right, a lot of times when people talk about therapy, a lot of times you wind up talking to somebody that doesn't necessarily look like you. So it can be a little different, right? But knowing that there's a service out there where you'll talk to people that look like you, that may have experienced some of the things that you have experienced, that's comforting. And then also as parents, I'm raising a 10-year-old, soon to be 11, and a 1-year-old. I need counseling right now, like right now. These kids driving me up the wall, but I love them so much. So yeah, definitely something to look into. And Tora and Jamal, why don't you guys introduce yourself for our panelists and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Shatora.
And I'm Jamal.
My fiance. We're newly engaged. We are parents of two daughters. Our oldest daughter is 12, so we've been in the parenting game for quite some time, and our youngest daughter is 18 months. We're really excited to share some of our parenting tips and what we've learned in the 12 years and what we're relearning with the little one. So I'm excited. Let's do it.
Nice. And I'm going to tell you guys something, a little fun fact about Shatora, because I got to brag about her sometimes because she don't want to talk about it. I gotta bring it out, right? Tora is actually a fitness instructor, and she's actually getting the mommies out there fit, like getting them out there fit.
Yes.
And she also has a great announcement, some great things coming up in the next few weeks. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about that?
So I'm launching a line for moms. My line is called Imperfect Mom. Imperfect comes from the word imperfect. Perfect. So I came up with that line because it resonates with me and the fitness mom that I became after having my second daughter. So I wanted to make a line where women, moms, can come and wear things and make us feel comfortable, and to work out, and strictly for moms. So I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to launch. I just can't wait to launch. I'm getting a couple of the things situated, but we're coming.
And if you guys can see on the screen, this is just the beginning of the product, right? So, Tora, what do we see here in this?
So I'm wearing a waist trimmer. If anyone knows what a waist trimmer is, it's like a sweat belt. You wear it when you're working out. My specific sweat belt has a pocket because we know when we work out, a lot of workout clothes don't have pockets, so I incorporated a pocket. The sports bra is really supportive for moms, with our breasts. We need that extra support. And when we're working out and we're not caring about our hair, we wear our mom hats. That's what they call. Normally they're dad hats, but this is a line for mom, so it's a mom hat.
Like that. Bring in the mom hats, right? Bring in the mom hats. So the product looks amazing, right? I've seen you work out in it, right? So if you guys go to her Instagram at imperfect_mom, right? Go there and then you'll actually see the product in use, see the product in work, and see that it actually works, right? She's very open about her fitness journey, daily workout videos and things of that sort. It's one thing to say that somebody's working out, but it's another thing to follow them on that journey and see, like, wait, this is actually working. Like, she's really doing this, and I see the results and things of that sort. So, yes, you guys can follow up with that. Always want to make sure that, my panelists that are doing things, that we just put them out there, right? But without further ado, right, episode 11, things I wish I would have known before I became a parent, right? The book that we're going to be discussing is a book by Gary Chapman that has the same title. This is the same person that wrote The 5 Love Languages. He also wrote Things I Wish I'd Known Before I Got Married, which is also a very good book. And he incorporates all of these things, in the book when talking about parenting. And Quana said in our comments, they have a company like that in Philly as well, Black owned. So that's great to know as far as the therapy. So that is great. Sorry guys, I was a little off on our comments. And Nikki said in our comments, that's super dope, Tiff. And then she said, right, Tora, right? So right, so super dope, right? So now getting into the conversation, and when we're looking at the book, right, I chose 3 chapters in the book that I thought would be pretty dope, but there are a lot of other chapters in there that you guys might find great as a parent. So feel free to look into that, in you guys' free time. So let's just start off with the topic. I wish I would have known that having a child radically changes. I think for me, like Tora said, relearning some things, right? When you have a new kid, for me, I think that hit me hard. Like, wait, you mean to tell me I can't do this? I can't do, like, we got to do this way, this way. And I think a lot of times we don't plan for that, because especially if you're a new parent, you might almost look at parenting like a baby doll, right? Like, you're not really looking at it like a real thing that needs as much time as babies actually need. So Clarence and Tati, I'll ask you guys this question. Were there any like plans or provisions made, for your schedule prior to having the baby?
Take it.
Yeah, I'll take that one. I don't think we kind of planned out our schedule. I had a good sense of time management, and we kind of incorporated that into our schedule. At the time, we're both working parents, so really just kind of figuring out each other's time, where we were both in healthcare. So, figuring if someone's going to work a day shift or a night shift so that, both parents can be home during, the earlier stages. So, but the real challenge came, during childcare, I think, right?
Well, yeah, we had, when we had our first, it was a little different. The first baby, we didn't really want to be away from her. We didn't want to stick her in a daycare just yet because she was so precious. So we switched our shift, and it was crazy because he would work the days and I would work nights, and we'd literally just switch drivers in the car seat.
Yeah.
So we did that for a while, and then finally put her in a daycare. And by the time we had our second, we didn't really change our schedule that much, and we found the daycare. We found someone to watch him.
Yeah. He went right from being born to right in the daycare system.
Right in daycare, and then we had someone watch him. So it was very different between the two.
Yeah, that's super dope, right? To see two working parents or people that, when you're in healthcare, regardless of position, like especially if you're like in the hospital, sometimes you can be on call depending on the situation, or work really long hours, right? So that's just crazy to see that you guys were able to manage that, like one working at one time, and then literally I could only imagine like one would probably have to run in while the other one's running out, like. And you guys manage that. So that's really, really dope. And then now for you guys, Tora and Jamar, you guys went from having a kid where you guys did all this, you have a routine, you guys have a schedule, right? And now everything's shut down, right? We got to change it again. And now it's even different because now you have you still have another kid, but now you have another kid that needs all this attention, right? So how is having, just children in general, and more specifically this new child, how has it changed you guys' daily schedule?
Oh my God. I'm going to go first because before we had the little one, I was working all the time. I was working crazy hours, making overtime. I was in the gym every day after work, even sometimes on the weekend. I was teaching fitness classes straight after work and still had time to come home and, make dinner. Now, baby comes and my schedule is completely thrown off. I cannot work out as much as I used to, which is another reason why I chose the name Imperfect Mom, because I'm not perfectly fit like I once was in my mind. So my schedule changed drastically. I can't do all the running around. I'm always tired. Everything has to be on a schedule. You come home, time to cook, let her run around, cater to the children, and then it's time for bed, and you have to do it over the next day. So you have to really time management is definitely key, because you'll be walking around like a zombie. We'll be walking around like a zombie.
How about you, Jamar? Has it really taken a toll on your schedule?
Yeah, it did. I don't get to do anything. I don't get to do anything.
You said let's just put it right. Let's just put it frank.
Especially with Tori, I can't get out her sight.
Yeah.
And then
it's an issue. She's crying, constantly crying.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I gotta go to the bathroom, she's crying.
Look, and you a girl dad, so you know they cling more to the dad. So,
And our schedules are completely different. We both have to be to work at around 8 in the morning, but he doesn't get off until 7. So now, it's like I have to be home and getting everything situated until he comes home. And, you want him to come home and have some sense of like no stress because,
Right.
he worked, long hours or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, everything time just goes around the children. But when we get our time, you best believe date night. Let's go.
We're definitely gonna revisit that, right? Because that was something that's also talked about in the book. One of the chapters that I didn't really bring into the conversation, but I'm gonna bring back up during question time, right? Where it said that I wish I would have known that marriages don't run on autopilot. Right, and needing that date night and those times and things of that sort. But we definitely gonna revisit that, right? So when we're looking at childcare, right, and it changing your schedule and having a child and it changing your schedule for you, Tiffany, things might have been a little different for you, right? Being in a situation where you may have had to have your child majority of the time, or having to juggle that whole thing, right? So for you, what are some childcare suggestions that you would give for a parent? Being that I'm pretty sure childcare had to be something that was very significant for you in order to be, a productive parent.
Yeah, so for me, it definitely was different because I had to go back to work right away. So I was only able to be home for about 6 weeks. So Grace has been in some kind of daycare child, which is really hard because, of course, you don't trust everybody with your kid. Your kid can't speak, So for me, I just really, really took my time in finding a daycare. I was one of those people that's in the daycare. I'll sit there if I have to, and I'm looking around and paying attention. I'll call, ask questions, see how she's doing. And I just try my best to pay attention to my kid. Even though they're small, if something is not going right when it comes to your kids. So I'll try my best to pay attention to that and be as active as possible. I don't care if they get frustrated with me calling. You can't worry about things like that because at the end of the day, this is your kid. So I just try to pay attention to stuff like that when it came to her as far as like being daycare, because she's just always been, I just had no choice. Even though I had a really supportive mom, she still has a life and she still has to work, so that's the things like I just try my best to do when it came to childcare.
Right. And that's a great point, right? One, pointing out of the fact that you need to know what's going on with your child at all times, right? A lot of times I think when people talk about daycare, we forget to put in that aspect. Like we all do it. I know me, I'm a helicopter dad, right? I'm like, what are you doing? Where you at? We all do that as parents. We're super protective, but when we're talking to people about childcare, we forget like that part. Like, yeah, just to let you know, I sat in there the first day, just because I just want to see how everything's moving and stuff like that. And I think that that's a good thing for new parents to know, is that that's okay. And a lot of daycares and a lot of places, like they allow you to do that because they understand, like as a parent, you want to feel comfortable, you want to feel confident in this person that's going to have your child for a majority of the day. Another thing that I really like that you said is, like how they said in Baby Boy, like mama got a life too, Jody, right? So now when we look at childcare options, we don't really want to wear down our parents, right? Or that same childcare person or that same babysitter, right? You can't wear down that same person. They got a life too that they have to live. So having different options as far as childcare is always good, right? So I would suggest, for people that just have kids or have kids, have different options, right? You could have a sister, you could do the mom, you can have a daycare, but have different options and make it easier for parents to have free time, which we all need because we're adults, right? And there's adult time and there's kid time. So
can I chime in really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing about our childcare situation is it's my grandmother, right? Now I had the baby on her birthday. So in her mind, this is her baby. He actually gets upset when we take the baby anywhere else besides to her. She doesn't want a break. You know, I've said that to her, like, you know, Grandma, you know, I just want to give you a break. I don't want to, you know, just keep pushing a baby on you. Here she go. You don't tell me when I need a break.
Oh, you living, yeah.
Break. And I'm like, okay. She's like, listen, if y'all want to go somewhere, just let me know. And I'm just like, got it. You don't have to say no more.
Right,
you know,
right.
And luckily we've
That's
always
great.
been blessed in that aspect, because even when my big girl was a baby, you know, we've always had the help. You know, grandparents are there 100%. You know, our siblings are there 100%. You know, so we've always, you know, had that help. Thank God, because even as a young parent, we were still able to go out and have fun. You know, like
Yeah.
we had her. I was 19 when we had her. He was 23, 22. And we were still able to, you know, enjoy our 20s, because, you know, people have kids and it's kind of like your whole life is just the kid. But at the same time, mentally, you have to be straightforward. You have to be good. You have to take time for yourself. And if that time requires you to go out with your friends and just let loose, then that time that's just what it is. So that you can be mentally there for the kid.
Yeah. I will say this: you guys are blessed, because I know my parents. Come get your kid. Come get them.
She doesn't do that. She doesn't.
You guys are blessed. If you got it, take it, right? And now I'm looking at Natalie in our comments. She said, "What's the problem with that? That baby keep grandma young and active, right?" So if that's your workout plan, you know, if that's your workout plan, I'm taking it.
I would like to add a comment too. And like you said, Trey, we are blessed, but there's certain parents out there that don't have those you know, formal support systems or informal support systems that, you know, really need additional services, that don't have, unfortunately, you know, the parents or the in-laws or grandparents. You know, Big Mom was always there in the community to help. You know, but you know, in today's generation, that support isn't always there, and you know, there's a lot of parents out there that need additional resources to be able to have out here. And that is the truth.
Yes.
You know,
that is the absolute truth. So if you got it, use it. If you don't have it, find those options, right?
And use it, don't abuse it.
Use it, don't abuse it, so you don't lose it.
Lose it.
Right. So being that we're talking about like free time, right? Being able to drop the kid off and stuff like that, and how it radically changed our schedule. Clarence and Tati, like, what are some things that like you might have done in your free time that you've actually had to like cut back on, you know, because you guys have children now?
I think for me, I really like to relax a lot and just have that me time. So to have a child that constantly needs you to be doing something for them, that kind of threw me off a little bit. Where I found peace with that was in kind of building a schedule for them. So our kids always had a bedtime, and I don't know how much longer it's going to last with our 14-year-old, but she's, you know, well, she's going to be 14, but I don't know how long she's going to be like, okay, I'm going to bed. One day she's going to be like, I'm too old for a bedtime. But, you know, that bedtime is when I get that me time back. I could just relax and watch whatever show I want, just do whatever it is that I want.
Yeah, and for me, I think I was kind of the opposite before we had children. I wanted to always be out, you know, and that was a very difficult transition for me, because when we first had our baby girl, you know, I still thought I can go out, and I wasn't as attentive to my wife at that time, because I couldn't really adjust from, you know, wanting to go out and party to knowing that, hey, I have a wife and baby at home, you know, maybe I need to put the going out to the side. So that was a transition I had to make, and it was difficult at that time, because, you know, in a sense, and I guess it's also being selfish in a way, right? I could say I was being selfish, and, you know, just really, you know, through working it out and communicating,
and me reminding him.
Yeah, you know, you have to communication's the key. You know, it's taboo. Everyone says it, you know, but that's the key, communication.
I was like, you're not going to be going out, living it up, partying it up, and I'm here with the baby,
Yeah, I'm telling you. But like you guys said, and look, remember I said in the very, very, very beginning, y'all gonna get some marriage tips in the midst of when Tati and Clarence is speaking. So y'all better listen closely,
and
right?
Honest, we're here to be honest, and sometimes you have to be a little vulnerable and own up to some of the things that you did. But throughout the process, you change. It doesn't happen overnight. When a lot of people expect change to happen overnight, but it doesn't. It's this thing that we kind of constantly work on until we improve in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Definitely. And that's really good, right? So now you get to see both sides of the spectrum where Tati's like, listen, I just want to kick my feet back. Clarence like, listen, I'm trying to ride around and get it, right? Like, so now you guys get to see like both sides, like where like having a kid can dramatically change your schedule, whether you're somebody that just wants to sit down and have quiet time, or if you're somebody that wants to, go out and move around and do things, right? So Tiffany, right, when we're looking at having these kids in the house, we're looking at our schedule, right, and things that we do and don't do and stuff like that. One of the things that I see, like when I see people talking about like maybe struggling with kids or something like that, right? You always see like the mom holding the baby with the vacuum, with a broom on her head, and like just a bunch of different things, right? Like just trying to still get things done around the house. Do you think having a child changes the way that you do household chores, or is that just like a myth for the memes and the jokes?
I definitely have to say yes, because not that I wasn't ever a clean person, but like I hated cleaning. So sometimes I would just like put it off to the side and I wouldn't do it. But once you have a kid, it's like if you don't do it now, it's gonna like pile up and keep piling and keep piling. So that definitely changed me as far as like no longer not being a cleaner. So now I'm like, I'll clean all the time. I'll try to keep everything clean because I know once Grace come in with her cousins, they will just terrorize everything. And I don't want to do double the work. So yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah. And I could imagine it changing because kids are so messy at times, right? Especially when they're in that terrible stage where they're just in everything. I know my son, as soon as he gets free, the first place he's going is under the cabinets, the pots. He can reach the drawer where the spoons are now. So it's just like, bro, how did a spoon, a sippy cup, how did that get under the couch? Like, I don't even remember pulling this out, right? And they're all empty and all clean, but just under the couch. I found a remote under the sink the other day. Like, this kid is just, it's just crazy, right? So they're definitely a different level of messy, right?
Yeah.
So just now changing scenes a little bit, right? One of the chapters in the book that Gary Chapman talks about that I thought was really good, right, was I wish I would have known that children are greatly influenced by our parents. That's one of the biggest things that parents don't look at hard enough at times, right? A lot of parents, they do things to make sure that their kids are good, bathe, shower, and, you feed them, you try to give them, good things to watch and have them around good people. But I think a lot of times we forget that kids are watching us at all time. And we talked about this in our, I believe it was the generational behaviors episode, where we said that kids do what we say, but they also do what they see us do, right? Tora and Jamar, like, do you think it's safe to say that your child or your children will model a lot of your behaviors?
Yeah,
Yes.
they definitely model a lot of our behaviors.
Yeah.
So they often see us what we do. We constantly clean. Tori's getting the hang of it at 1 year old, which is great. Mara, she's not so
bad.
but she's getting there.
She in that teenage phase. She don't want to clean nothing.
I mean, it could be good and bad because, you know, technology these days with the social media. We sometimes, you know, when we want to relax, you sit, be on our phone, and then we get on Mara when she do it. So it's like we being hypocrites. By the same token, we trying to stop her from getting as deep as into it as we are or was, because we get of it also.
I definitely catch myself sometimes. I'm like, damn, I'm all in my phone, and then 10 minutes later, I'm going to her room like, what? Why are you on the phone? You know, come in the living room with us, come hang out with us. And she's just like she doesn't say like, well, you on your phone, like, but I know she's thinking it. Right. As far as like cleaning, she sees us clean constantly, especially him because he's like a germaphobe. So she sees us cleaning all the time, but she doesn't pick that up. She doesn't pick up that habit. You know, like she'll walk past a piece of paper on the floor 15 times, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I think it's with certain things, kids will definitely pick up, you know, like if she sees us drawing because we both draw, you know, she picks that up. You know, she likes to draw, she likes to paint, but they definitely do what they see. The baby, she's obsessed with the broom and the dustpan. She likes to sweep.
Yeah.
They definitely do what they see. They definitely
Right. And my 1-year-old, he sees his mom sweep the floor every day. So now I got to fight to get the broom out his hand. Like, bro, like, what are we doing? Like, why are we fighting for the broom right now? Like,
and I have the habit of, you know, sweeping everything into the dustpan and then like not dumping it. So he's always like, why do you sweep it into the dustpan and then just not dump the dustpan? So now when she's bothering the dustpan, everything is all over the floor again. And I'm just like, I have that
same disagreement, but I'm not gonna say that. I'm just gonna let it. But I have that same disagreement. Like I just don't get it. It don't make sense. Just throw it away. Just throw it away. So Natalie said something very key in our comments, right? She said, absolutely, I will never allow a man or anyone to mistreat me as my dad treated my mom like a princess. They never argued in front of us. Like, so like just little stuff like that, right? When we don't think that kids are watching, or I think that sometimes we just have to remember, like, we were kids and I've seen a lot that they may not have been trying to teach to me, but I saw it, right? There are a lot of things that I won't do because of bad things that I've seen. Like, you get what I'm saying? So kids are always watching, and they go with it like into adulthood, right? Now, Quanette said in our comments, you know, same. I have a 15-year-old, and it's a struggle to do activities with her, right? So a lot of the times, and this may not be Quanette, but a lot of times I know with me, I use my phone a lot, right? Or I use my laptop a lot. Now, especially more than ever, podcasting and just trying to, you know, revamp everything and make everything just great. You know, I told everybody off the air, like, I'm trying to make this the view. Like, you know, I want all the little features, I want all that little cute stuff or whatever, but that takes time, right? Learning and how to master these things and use these things. So now when my son, when he sees me, my oldest, and he'll see me on my phone or see me on my laptop, you know, I'll turn it and tell him, you know, while he's doing virtual school, you know, I know you feel like you're working, but you're not working alone, right? So look at my laptop. This is how you do this. This is how I do this. This is what I'm doing now, right? So even if you're in your phone and you're not just browsing, you know, let them know, like, you know, you're not alone. Like, I'm not telling you to do this and I'm not doing this, right? Because, you know, they're always watching. So Tiffany, when we talk about kids modeling our behaviors, right? How important do you think it is that parents continually better themselves?
I feel like it's very important, and especially like me having a 9-year-old, I done seen so many changes with Grace, just because she watches me so much. So as I'm always like trying to work and always trying to elevate myself and better myself, but kids, like, I mean, it's to the point that I even hear Grace when she talks to her cousins. She'll say, I remember telling her one time, like, somebody didn't show up to a birthday party, and I'm like, hey, you don't focus on that. You just focus on the people who's here, and you know, these who's here, you enjoy their company, you enjoy them. And then one time her cousin was sad someone didn't come to like the party, and she was just like, don't worry about that. Like, it's just everybody's here. Let's just have a good time. And I'm just like, she really like. I think she doesn't listen. I'm always thinking like she's not listening to me, but she really does, and that really shows me like she's really paying attention. So I try to make sure I do everything correctly, because I know she's going to be following the same footsteps, and I just want her to have a better outcome. So I make sure I better myself so she could continue to be a better person. So
dope. And I wanna ask a question concerning, now this was one of the comments or related to one of the comments, right? But as a young Black man, and the stigma of us not being present, right? I love to see, and this is why, you know, I made sure that, you know, that we had Clarence and Tati and Jamar. We had Tora a few times, so but I need to really talk about how excited I am to have these men here, right? As well as myself, being able to speak to parenting, right? And for you, Jamar, like how has it been, right, when we talk about being a good figure, right? And Natalie said in the comments, like, I will never let a man treat me like this because my dad did this. Like he treated my mom like this, or he always taught me this, right? So what are some things, with you being a girl dad, what are some things that when you think about yourself and how you want them to look at you, like what are some things that you try to model for them, you know, to make sure that when they grow up, they can take like some valuable things with them?
Well, like just like Natalie said, Mara, Tori won't allow anybody to talk to them how they think they're going to talk to them. I mean, we argue, but we try not to argue in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when we did argue, because we haven't argued in a while, a lot of times when we did argue, it was I try to make sure they wasn't around, because you know they'll sit. Well, Mara would sit, listen probably, but when she was younger, I always let her know, like, don't let nobody disrespect you. Don't let nobody get too close to you. Like, if it was time she got in trouble for, she got in trouble in school for somebody being too close to her, and she pushed them. So I had to let her know, all right, yeah, I told you don't let nobody get so close to you, but you can't do that in school because then you go get in trouble.
Right.
She don't let nobody talk to her nobody disrespects her. Nobody disrespect neither one of them.
And they make sure that
they definitely make sure of that.
And that's dope, because now I look at it like this, like, you know, when you are a girl dad, it's nerve-wracking for me. I wanted a girl so bad, right? But then now that I have a boy and I see how much it's like, nah, don't touch him, don't come next to him. I could only imagine if he was a girl, right? So my prayers go out to all the men that have daughters, because your percentage of going to jail probably is up like 70%, right? So
yeah, tough. They tough because
right.
I do. It's not. I don't mean to, but I do talk with a harsh tone.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have to change that, because it's like talking with a harsh tone. If she need to tell me anything, she's afraid to tell me. She think I'm upset because I talk with a harsh tone. Mm-hmm. That's just how I talk, but they don't understand that's how I talk. They think I'm upset when I'm talking with a harsh tone.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I'm not upset. But I know I do have to bring that down a lot while talking to them. So right, and me with any and everything they need to tell me.
Right. That's so important, right? And you saying that, and you know, Clarence and Tati saying the things that you were saying, Tiffany, you guys are really I appreciate you guys so much for being this transparent, right? because a lot of times when you get on a platform, people watching, you want to talk about the best version of you, right? But I appreciate you guys being this transparent, because these are things that people need to know. I went through that personally, right? With my oldest, right? It was because I wanted so much for him, right? And it was just like, nah, do this, nope, nope, nope. And then it got to a point where I would say stuff to him and then walk out, and he would nod and nod and nod. And as soon as I walk out, then he started talking to his mom. It's like, wait, what? I'm right here. Like, you know, and I started realizing that he didn't want to talk to me. He didn't want to open up to me about certain things. So it definitely, you know, plays a role.
Yeah.
As a follow-up question, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to add on that too. Just to, you know, I also, you know, in communicating have a harsh tone too, and sometimes people misinterpret that, you know, and also to add, when you was talking about, you know, just dads being present in parenting, you know, I'm an 80s baby, man, and growing up in the South Bronx, like during a time of my like informative years, like you didn't see men and women, especially of color, couples together pushing a stroller in unison together, you know, and I feel you see that more present now. You know, there's even times I'm starting to see a lot of men, you know, just out alone with their children, you know, taking them out, which is a beautiful thing to see, you know, which is, you know, showing that there's definitely a change happening, right? So, you know, there's a lot of progress, you know, and obviously we're still working on, you know, fine tuning things, you know, but, you know, and we have a lot to catch up on.
You know,
but the work is being done. And, you know, these platforms too help create the work, and also to show others that the work is being done.
Right. And having those conversations. Now we can kind of say, like, it ain't all of us. Look, you got, you know, 3 Black fathers here, right? Like, and so it's not all of us, or even with the mothers, right? Like, you have a lot of times you're starting to see memes like people leaving their baby, these mothers leaving their baby. You got 3 mothers here that are like, I'm not leaving my baby with just anybody, right?
For me, seeing that, it just made me like really happy with the man that I chose to have children with, because I'm a woman who grew up without my father. You know, I didn't meet my father until I was turning 21 years old, you know, not by choice. He wasn't, you know, he just wasn't a deadbeat just to be a deadbeat. You know, he not even a deadbeat, you know, situations happen, but it was always so important to me for him to have a relationship the way he has. I don't get, this doesn't make me jealous. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes my heart smile, because I didn't have that, you know? So I always tell my daughter, I'm like, when she has an issue and she's scared to tell her dad, because like he said, you know, with his harsh tone, she's, you know, she's afraid sometimes. And I'm like, no, you need to go communicate with your father. And I've always, you know, told her, like, listen, I didn't have that. So be blessed that you have it, and go have a conversation with your dad. Talk to him as much as you need to, because not everybody has that, you know, and I missed out on that. So I never stand in that. I don't know how some women just stand in the way of, you know, that bond between the father and the daughter, or a father and his child, period. But for me, that's always been like super exciting for me to see. Like, it always just made me feel like love.
Right. I love that though. The key thing that I really, really love that you said is it doesn't make me jealous, right? A lot of times when you get in situations like that, right, and the father is very involved, because the stigma, and depending on where you're from, right? Because some people have seen that their whole life, and then some people know a lot of single parents, right? So now when you're in a situation, or maybe you were raised by a single parent, and now your child is given all this attention, and you see it one way because that's just how you were raised, it could be a little emotional. Like, wait, what you mean you don't? Because, you know, you don't want to come to mommy, or why
we play around like that, like, oh, you want your daddy, but like, no, it doesn't.
Right, like why you only say dada? Why you only say mama? Like, hello, like,
you know who your parents are. That's all that matters.
Right, and we're gonna love you, right? It's gonna be different, but we're gonna love you. You know who your parents are, and that's all that matters, right? So when talking about, you know, this stern tone, and there are many cases as a parent where you have to chastise your child, right? One of the things that I learned growing up is and I think we've all learned this, parents are not always right. Right? And you learn that growing up when you get in trouble for some stuff that you did not necessarily do. And you looking like, but I don't want to hear it. Like, cut it. And now you like, but I didn't, right? Like, or even if you're the parent with the harsh tone, or no matter what it is, right? Something that's not right. And then your child may not speak up because they respect your authority. So they're just going to internalize that, right? So Tiffany, how important is it that you think that parents learn to apologize to their child or their children?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so to me, it's very, very important. So I never used to be a believer of saying sorry. I should be that strong-headed Leo that just like, I'm right, I don't care. Even if I was wrong, I know I'm right. But now that I have a kid, you know, from the things that I suffer from, I know I didn't want my kids to go through the same thing. So I want to make sure sorry was one of the things that she knows how to do. So even when she'll say something to me and I'll be incorrect, I used to get upset, but then I had to tell myself like, no, she's actually right, and I should go apologize to her. As soon as I'm like something happens and I know I'm wrong, even when it comes to chastising, because sometimes I have to play both roles, because even though she has a very, very active father, she's primarily like she's more with me throughout the week and everything like that. So sometimes I have to play both parents. I mean, both parts. I have to be stern, and then something. So I make sure when I am wrong, I just apologize, because I don't ever want her to go out in the streets and be the same way. And she'll be into an argument, or she'll do something wrong, and she just won't apologize for it. She'll just be like, "Oh, whatever, I'm right. My mom is always right." So that's just what it is. So I don't ever want her to follow the incorrect steps. So I correct myself, and I apologize, and then we'll regroup and go back, and she'll explain to me like, "Oh, thank you for saying sorry," or she's just more like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just very different. It's not what I'm used to. So it's nice to have that we can just both apologize to each other when we're wrong. Because I'm just used to always having parents who are always right. So to me, it's really good. It's a nice relationship, nice bond.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think I really think, like you said, like one of the things that you don't want to do is create a child that go outside. Like Nikki said in our comments, if you don't apologize, they'll be wrong and strong when they grow up, right? Like that's the last thing you want to create, because like you said, like when you're used to your parents treating you a certain type of way, you're like, all right, well, when I get older, that's what I'm gonna do, because that's what adults do, right? I know when children get a little older, things change, right? So raising kids in general is just hard, right? There's no handbook on it. No kids are the same. And then when they're younger, they say when they get a little older, it get easier. But then you get different challenges, right? Like they're sleeping. Now you standing over them to make sure they're still breathing. Then next thing you know, they're running around the house with kitchen knives and forks. Now you got to make sure you keep them breathing. Then they get a little older, they get introduced to kids, and they might be a little aggressive or get picked on. So it's just always a continued challenge, but just in different ways, right?
Oh.
When looking at
also,
that,
I gotta say, can I say one thing too, Trey?
Yeah.
Also, it's okay to tell your kids that you don't know the answer to something, because I know as parents we're supposed to always look like we know everything, but it's okay to say, you know what, baby, I don't know. We can find out together, because at the end of the day, we're still learning too, especially if you only have one kid, or so I always tell Grace, like, Grace, I don't know. We can find out, but mommy just doesn't know the answer to that. And she'll be like, okay, let's find out. And we end up both learning something new. So I think that as well. We can't always be so like, oh, I know the answer. It's like, no, we don't know it. Let's find out together. Let's find the right answer.
I think that builds trust as well. Like, because when they see that you're not creating a false persona, that you're like invincible and you know everything, it builds trust in the fact that what you tell them, if you do tell it to them, is correct. Because if you didn't know, then you wouldn't tell them. So, I definitely think that builds trust, that on top of apologizing. So, Clarence and Tati, like when we talk about having kids and the challenges being different when they get older, they do different things. They take things different when they get older. I know for me, when I became a teenager, I was just a different type of mad at everything. Like, I was a little bit more emotional, angry, things of that sort. for you guys having older children, how is that as far as like apologizing, right? Like, or if you get to a point where you feel like I need to apologize, or say I don't know, or whatever the case is, how do they accept it now with older kids, and how do you think that's kind of molded the way that they are as like soon to be young adults?
I think it goes back to the whole modeling the behavior that you want to see in your kids, right? Because they're always watching you. So I also grew up in a household where, I mean, till this day, I won't get an apology from like any of the elders in my family, right? Because they're never wrong, and that doesn't change. So I had to really step away from that and be able to say, okay, I am wrong, and I will apologize. I guess we're doing a good job. I think we're doing a good job because our kids aren't afraid to speak to us. They will call us out. So if I'm snapping on them for some reason, like recently, I was like really just snapping and go do this, go do that, and you didn't do this. And then, all right, I don't know, 10 minutes or so passed, and my son was like, hey, Mom, you were really upset this morning. Is everything okay? Like, you were just, and I was like, oh, this person said this to me, and I had to do all this work on the back end, and I guess I took it out on you guys. I'm sorry, So that's the kind of behavior, you don't always think that they're watching you, but they're really watching you. So you want to model that behavior, and part of that is admitting when you're wrong. Again, like Tiffany said, if you don't have an answer, you can say, I don't have the answer, because it's better than giving them a wrong answer or getting frustrated and saying, leave me alone, I don't know, right? Don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm like, you got Google. I didn't have Google when I was young. Go look it up. Go ask Siri, go do something like that. I still give them that answer sometimes, but I try to build that inquisitive nature in them and just really say, hey, I don't know. Let's go, check it out. Why don't you look it up and tell me the answer? Because I want to know too, like something like that. So, as they get older, so that's one thing. I feel like I'm having more adult-ish conversations with them. As far as getting them to do things, I feel like I have to be a little more clever and trickier, things like that. So like when you were talking to her about the chores, I was like, yeah, it got really hard. It went from it being cute and they wanted to do what I was doing to no, why do I need to do that? So that's when I brought in the allowance.
Allowance, yeah.
Right. So I'm bribing them, yes, but in a good way, where my daughter now does all the dishes every week. And we tell her, right, if it's not done by Sunday in the morning, if there's something in the sink, you don't get this $10. My son, he's responsible, or our son, he's responsible for shoe management and shoe and sock management. We made it sound fancy. So, he has to make sure all the shoes are together in the shoe rack, all nice and neat. When we do the laundry, he has to put together all the socks, so that's his job. And if he doesn't do it, you don't get that $5. When he gets a little older, he'll take over the dishes. Maybe she'll take over something else and he'll get an upgrade on his allowance, things like that. Granted, it all goes back into Roblox money, but Roblox is taking all our money, funneling through allowance. But, we just have to find new ways to do things, and then always remember that we have to model that behavior.
Right. And what I like most about that is, like you said, it's not necessarily bribing, and it is going to what they want. But now it gives you an opportunity not to just have them do what you want them to do, but now you're teaching them responsibility, because as they get older, when mommy go to work, I got to do X, Y, and Z so I can get my allowance, aka my paychecks. So, with stuff like that, you really teaching them how the real world works. And I really like how you said the response was to you being upset in that occasion, like, hey, is everything all right? Like, you were really upset earlier. That shows that kids pick up on emotions, right? And how we deal with those emotions, or how we respond to them when we're going through something emotionally, it'll give them room to say, like, hey, is everything okay, right? Like, rather than I'm going in the room, she tripping again, like, I can't do this, I'm going on Roblox, right? Like, so that's great that you guys have created that atmosphere where it's open, and you know, we can talk like, hey, what's going on with you? And this is how I feel, right? Like, so
Yeah,
that's super dope.
yeah, I know, at least in my generation, I'm not sure if you guys can, you know, share this experience, but, you know, growing up, you were always told by the adults, you know, stay in the child's place. And to an extent, I do understand that, you know, things are appropriate for kids and maybe inappropriate for kids, but just that language back in the day with parents used to say is just very, you know, it's just have a negative connotation to it. And
Yeah.
we try to stay away from that. You know, we try to incorporate them in our conversations. You know, if we're going to be having people over and we know it's going to be just adult talk, you know, we'll let them know, listen, we're going to have adult talk. But then, you know, when we speak to something that's, you know, more kid friendly, then you guys can join back in the conversation.
Right,
You know,
right.
just really, and at the same time, you're teaching them a skill too, also to communicate and how to interact in a group too as well.
Right, right. Definitely, definitely. And like you said, you teaching them what's for you and what's not for you, right? I don't know how many times like I've been in a situation where maybe somebody might have been arguing or somebody might have been talking about something like, what if somebody's talking about a bank heist, right? And you standing right next to them. And you said, "Oh, for real? Y'all gonna rob that bank, that TD bank right there on Third? That's it. That you going in the bag too. You're going in the duffel bag too, right?" So teaching them like, listen, now is not the time. This is not your conversation. When your conversation comes up, then feel free to speak. So that is a skill that we all need to know, because I know a lot of people that be in a lot of people conversation that don't need to be in their conversation. So I agree, right? So one of the next things I wanted to talk about, just in the essence of time, we're gonna push past the you know, this particular subtopic is, I wish I would have known that parents are responsible for their child's education. I think that we're seeing that more and more now with the pandemic, and we're realizing how limited the teacher's responsibility is. I know for me, my child doesn't go to school from let's say 8 to 2, right? Like he'll have a meeting in the morning and for 1 hour, and then he has a bunch of work that's due today that he has to do, and then they have a meeting at 2 o'clock, and he's just supposed to finish up whatever work is marked for today, or like he's in college, like, and they're calling the parents learning coaches now. So now I got to be a mechanic, a cook, whatever my day job is, and I'm a learning coach, like AKA a teacher, right? I need part of that salary. So DOE, send me my check in the mail, because I've been teaching all year, right? I just want to put that out. I've been teaching all year. So like, I think that prior to COVID though, a lot of times maybe people didn't look at it like that, especially when it comes to preschool, right? Like before your kid is actually in school. So Tora, what do you think is the most important aspect of your child's education prior to school?
I would say them just taking like wanting to know, because we have an issue with our daughter where, you know, she's kind of like okay with not knowing, you know. So like when you want to know and when you're inquisitive, you go and you learn. So I think it's before school even comes into the picture, it's just like you just have to know that there's things in life that you have to know. You have to know how to read. You have to know how to, count your money. That's what math comes in for me. I have to know how to count my money. I have to know about my investing. So numbers, when it comes to math, you have to know about, how to multiply. You have to know how to, add and subtract. History that, lately that's been coming up a lot, especially in the Black community. Like, you have to know your history. So I think it plays a part when, just wanting to know what you don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when it comes to, toddlers, right? It's hard to learn how to walk if you don't want to walk, right? Or how to talk if you don't want to talk, right? If you don't have anything to say. So just them being inquisitive is definitely, a big thing. Tiffany, how important is it? Oh, I'm sorry. You got something, Tati?
Sorry, I was just gonna jump in
Piggyback.
and say, I think for us, one of the easiest things that we were able to do as toddlers is just read to them. I joined like Scholastics. I joined the Dolly Parton library, and they sent us books, and we just read to them like story time all the time. So they were ready for that preschool. So it's
Yeah, Tori walks around the house. It's books all over the floor. You know, we done bought her so many board books. She done tore them apart, but she loves them so much. And I would say that that's something that, as a young parent, I didn't incorporate in, you know, my big girl. You know, I didn't read to her as much, but we're older, we're wiser, we're smarter, you know. So when it comes to reading, like you said, we read to her every day, like constantly. So yeah.
That is super, super dope. I know for me, like my son does the same thing. Like he'll pick up one of his 100 books and he'll just shove it in my hand. Like, hello, it's time for you to do the thing right now. Like then he want to flip through the pages, so now I got to read extra fast. Like, and then so
read it 15 times. Like I have to read it 10, and then he has to read it another 5 times.
You gotta put a limit.
I
love it.
Like I said, the end. Like the
right,
end,
and every time
over.
it's just new. Like you didn't know that the caterpillar was gonna turn into a butterfly. We read it 20 times already. Like, but
I started putting the limit in. I'm like, listen, you're only gonna get 2 books, and then she'll bring me like 2 long books, and I'm like, no, 2 board books. Like, no.
Well, they also know it prolongs going to bed too.
Well, yeah,
right.
Like reading every story.
Listen, I'm not but until the story's done, keep on.
That's when they start getting on game. They're gonna try to bring novels in the bedroom. Like, nope, we not doing this. Like, no, you're not gonna bring the whole 7 series of Harry Potter. They got movies for that. We watching it tomorrow.
The funniest is when we told the grandmas, you gotta give them a bedtime story. Grandmas are like, we don't need no book. We just gonna make up this story right here, and they have a whole story that they made up. That was always so funny.
That is super funny. Now look, now talking about it, how for you, Tiffany, how important was it that both parents choose caregivers that'll positively impact the child's education? So like when you're sending your kid to a parent's house or to a daycare, right? Especially when they're really, really young, you want to make sure that there's stuff being done that's stimulating your child, right? How important is that when you caregivers?
It's definitely very important, even when it comes to family members. Like, I know, like, not trying to be funny, but I don't let my kid just stay at anybody's house when I don't feel like they kind of mirror the kind of same things I do, because I just feel like it's a certain way I want Grace to be, and it's a certain way I want to raise my child. So, you know, when it comes to education, if I had, like, for example, like, my mother works a lot. She's like one of the best caregivers. She works a lot, but it's hard for her to focus on Grace's education because, you know, she needs rest and things like that. Even though she's like the best grandmother ever, it's, you know, I still let her go over there, but I make sure like I'll put her in a program instead of just letting her go to her grandmother's house, just because I need her to focus as far as her education and get the help that she needs. Not saying that my mother can't do it, but it's just like, I know she'll be better off here instead of just leaving her here. Even though I know my mother would take great care of her. So like when it comes to her education, I just don't let her go to anybody's house when it comes to things like that. Like I'll pick certain aunts, you know, certain grandfathers, you know, because I know everybody can't give her exactly what I'm looking for. So it's that I'm gonna find it in a place, you know, that's why I work so hard to make sure I can give her the certain things she needs without stressing anybody else around me. You know, or making anybody feel some kind of way. Because sometimes people be like, oh, why she can't come over here? And it's like, it's not that she can't come over here. It's just, I need certain things, certain ways, and you don't follow that guideline. So it's like, you don't want to say that to people. So instead of like saying it, I just like kind of do things differently. That's why I put in like tutoring programs or certain after school programs, or I'll pay extra money. It may make me broke, but she's moving in a direction that I need her to move. And I get to keep positive relationships with people, you know, because I do things that way. So
right,
yeah.
Okay, and that's good. I like that you brought in the fact that you know, just because somebody may not have the educational background or know how that you want, that doesn't mean send her to grandma house. That just means that we're gonna send her to grandma house, and then we're also gonna do tutoring, or we're gonna, you know, that we can do both. I'll think of
Right.
different,
Like grandma house on
right? Like,
weekends, but weekdays is like, no, you have to go here because I know you want to see grandma, but your education is very important. You may not think it right now, but it's very important. So just go here first. We'll go see grandma on the weekend, or we'll see grandma after that, you know. So
Right. For us, being my grandmother is 71 and she's old school, old school. So we know that she's gonna be clean. We know that she's gonna be fed, and we know that she's gonna be loved.
right.
But what I do is I send books over to my grandmother's house, and I have to tell her, Grandma, I need you to read to her. Grandma, she's starting to say her ABCs. So throughout the day, just randomly sing ABCs. Or if she's just doing something simple, just start counting. Like, so being that my grandmother is old school in that way, like we do have to coach her through, you know,
Yeah.
how to teach her, you know, how we want her to be. Because when she's here with us, which is not, you know, it sucks that when we, you know, we don't have the luxury of being, you know, with our children 24 hours a day. But the time that she is here with us, you know, we're reading to her constantly. We're, you know, counting with her. She knows all her body parts. So like, I do have to, you know, tell my grandmother, like, Grandma, I need you, I need you to teach her ABC. She knows the tune. She knows how to count. She'll count with you. So yeah, I think it's really, really important that, you know, whoever your caregiver is, that, you know, they are incorporating education and that they're teaching them. Our big girl, when she was in daycare, she went to a family friend who ran a daycare out of her house. She actually babysat my little cousin. So, you know, she was family. And, you know, they used to paint pictures and you know, do their ABCs. So like, you know, she was good until it was time to go to school. But now my grandmother babysits, and she volunteered from while she was still in my stomach. I'm babysitting my own grandbaby, but we do have to tell her, we need you to read to her. Here's a couple of books. Here's her favorite. So, you know, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you also don't want to always put that pressure on somebody. You know,
Right.
you don't always, like, it's already, like, they're already teaching them, like, how to cook. They're teaching them how to clean, how to sew. I mean, my mother teaches Grace everything. And it's just like, all right, that's one thing I could kind of take away, because she's already doing so much. Like, she's just doing so much for her already. And I like, let me just focus on that, because I know that's the one thing she struggled. Because Grace always struggled with education. Even though at the end she always gets it, it's always a struggle. So I'm constantly having to be on her back. So, you know, I don't want that to always be somebody else's problem, especially when you got someone great who's ready to teach her all these things.
So, just to wrap up, because I don't want to keep you guys too long, you know, I always tell you guys how much I appreciate your time. But I do have one more question. And Charles, since you were just talking about, you know, the educational piece and having to, you know, coach somebody through that, is there ever a point, or do you ever foresee a point where education will only be or strictly the teacher's responsibility?
No.
I'm with that, Dad. Step in.
You don't only learn at school. You don't only learn at school. A lot of times they not teach you what you really should know anyway, or they switching up stories that, I'm saying. So
yeah, the kids learn at home first anyway. You know, your parents, they always say, Mom, parents are your kids. You're your kid's number one teacher. You're your kid's first teacher. So it's never solely on the teachers. My mother used to tell us, well, when you go to school, you better listen to that teacher, because that teacher is your mother when I'm not there. And I used to be like, okay, I guess I'll listen to him or her, like whatever. But I learned, you have to learn in the school and out the school. So no, I disagree with, you know, it being solely on the teacher.
Yeah. I agree. And there are a lot of things, you know, like Jamal said, like there are a lot of things that are not taught in school that you need to learn. Like, you know, I even looked at, you know, Roman's homework the other day. Well, Roman's my oldest. I looked at Roman's homework the other day, and the way that they're teaching him how multiplies. Like, wait, you did this side by side. Like, y'all don't do it just up and down no more. And like they just
our way.
yeah, like so many different things and ways and things that they're taking in and out of education, things that they're adding in, right? Like, you also got to think about, like, what are y'all telling my kid? Like you
are y'all trying to confuse them? Like, just get straight to the point. Like, if 2 + 2 is 4, don't make them make it 10 before they make it 4. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Get them straight to the point.
Right.
I think it's what you get out of the education system sometimes, what you put into it, right? Because if you depend on that teacher to teach your kid everything, you're going to be very disappointed.
Right.
So, sometimes like a lot of my family would say to us, you have to put your kid in Catholic school or private school. You have to. That's the only way they're going to learn. And we've had a lot of success in the public school system because we're so active, right? I remember, just an example, the teacher posted up a photo of the kids in class and their activities for that day. And Clarence noticed that our son was in the back, kind of like zoned out, isolated from the rest of the group. That email went out so quick that he was like, why is my son in the back of the classroom, not fully engaged in the lesson? What is going on? And they were like, we're sorry, pulled them back in and made sure that they did it. And just really, addressing things in real time with the teachers.
Yeah.
Sometimes we find that, they don't expect for him to come to parent teachers night. And that's, and be so into it. So that little surprise right there is sometimes just enough to help them pick up their game, things like that. Like, they don't automatically assume that we'll be so involved.
Yeah. And I think with anything in life, right, that, they're humans too, but when they see that, you're engaged and you're an active participant in your kid's education, that makes them even more vested in your kid.
Yeah.
It's if you don't show them attention, they're just gonna think you're that parent that don't care, and therefore they're gonna put your kid on the sideline.
It's like we're in healthcare, right? So it's the same. It's like it's an ongoing thing that we always talk about. If you have a family member in a nursing home, right, and you don't come visit, they're gonna treat your family however they want, right? But if they know, oh, listen, that's Miss Jones right there, her daughter gonna come in and raise hell, Miss Jones gonna be well taken care of. It's the same concept for kids in school, right? If they know that you're involved, they're not gonna sleep on your kid. They're just gonna make sure that they're doing everything the way that they're supposed to be doing it.
Yeah. Natalie just said in our comments, our tax pays the salary of the teachers. They work for us. Right. So we got to start moving like that. Right. Like, you work for me. Like, I'm sorry. And like you said, small stuff. I saw in the picture, he was in the back and unengaged. Like, what part of the game is that? And Natalie in our comments is actually my great aunt. And she had a meeting with my nephew and my sister about his academic progress one of these past marking periods. And the teacher was talking about his work, and I think Darren, my nephew, was speaking, or someone else was speaking, and the teacher made a face, right? And before that other educator could finish speaking, my aunt cut it off. Excuse me, Miss such and such. What was that face? Yeah, no. We're just gonna address that right here. Like, what was that face, right? And the reason for that being addressed is because kids pick up on things like that, right? Like how teachers act towards them and things of that sort, right? So we have to address even body language with these teachers. But now, when I tell you and Miss such and such, because I'm intending on this episode getting to the masses, so I don't want to put Miss such and such on blast, right? But when I tell you that her energy towards him was different from that day, because we're not playing with you, right? Like, we're not. Job to do, just like you have a job to do. And we want to make sure that, this job gets done, because the best thing is for him to succeed. That's what's most important. And in our comments, there was one that says, school don't teach everything. We grew up on like cursive writing, stocks, woodwork, cooking, and baking. So there's a lot of classes that aren't being taken. I remember seeing movies growing up to get to high school, like, oh, we're gonna have a cooking class. They're gonna teach us how to bake. But that was only in the movies, right? Like, they teach us how to do None of that stuff. And then my mom was overprotective. So like, even if they had like a camp or something like that, she's like, you going to no sleepaway camp? Not like that. You know, they be doing people at them camps. And blah, 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 blah. So, you know, I missed out on a lot of stuff. If you was able to go to sleepaway camp, my hat goes off to you. My mom was not with it at all. So, Darren actually made the honor roll. So I'm gonna throw that comment up there. Darren actually made the honor roll after, you know, that meeting, working hard in tutoring, working hard in school. He actually made the honor roll. So we're excited about that. And before we get out of here, I just want to tell you guys about an event that's coming up. I'm really excited. This is actually one of our sponsors, and it's a pop-up shop. So Nays Made with Love pop-up shop is July 24th, 2021 from 1 to 5 p.m. It's going to be at Tilden Park in Brooklyn. If you are a vendor, so if you you can sell lip gloss, you can sell whatever it is under the sun. If you're a vendor, it's $50 per vendor. If you need any more information, you can contact Nays Made with Love LLC Instagram, Facebook, Nays Made with Love. The other two contacts, Nene Unique Henderson and also Lene Henderson. So if you want to be a part of the pop-up shop, if you're a vendor and you want to get your vend on, Nays Made with Love pop-up shop. If you don't have enough time to take down this information, you guys can always contact me and I'll pass your information along. Or if you just want to come and be a part of the fun, there's going to be food, there's going to be a DJ, there's going to be a party. It's just going to be fun. Like, it's just, and we all need a little bit of outside in our life, right? So if you want to come out, have a good time, come out and support Black business, or Black businesses, I should say. I'm pretty sure it's going to be more than just Black people there, but you know, that's the new phrase, support Black business. So, before we head out, Clarence and Tati, do you have anything for our viewers?
Oh, well, just a little tired now, but let me gather my thoughts. But you know, thank you for giving us this opportunity, Trey. You know, it was great, you know, with the rest of the panelists and, you know, sharing our thoughts on the book and the passages. You know, it's good to have, you know, parents share their experiences and, you know, and hopefully, you know, everyone who's viewing this or will view this in the upcoming days, you know, take something out of it and really apply it.
Yeah, there's no handbook, like you said, there's no handbook on parenting, and really every child is different. And you just got to remember to be kind to yourself and know that you are doing the best that you can at all times, right? Don't beat up on yourself as a parent. You're doing the best and you're doing a great job. You know, your children love you, right? So be kind to yourself.
Yeah, pick up on that. Pick up on that. So be kind to yourself. And it takes a village, right? So I'm excited to have you guys as a part of my village where I can learn things from, bounce ideas off of you guys, and just see the growth, right? Like I met Gavin and Aubrey almost 10 years ago, right? And we just had a conversation prior to this episode. I was like, wait, one's going to middle school, the other one going to high school. What's going on? Like they were just like little kids, right? But now with me having really young kids, right, or younger kids, now I can come to you guys for advice when he starts to go through different things, or when it's Quincy's turn to start going through different things, and we can bounce ideas off each other. So
and I'm glad for this forum too, because sometimes you feel like a parent, like you're just kind of like you come off like a know-it-all, like, oh yeah, you know, do this, do that. And some people don't always want that advice. So it's good to have this type of forum where you can offer it up.
Right. And whoever won it, here it go, right? Like having a buffet.
It's nice to let people know that, listen, you're not alone.
That's why the transparency part is so important, right? So you guys sharing and being transparent like throughout the entire episode, that let me know like I'm not alone. Like when I said that my kid takes the spoons and the sippy cups and he be in the cabinets, right? That look you had on your face let me know I was not alone, right? Like my kid not the only one that's fascinated with under the cabinets and spoons and stuff, right? Because sometimes you might think something like, what's wrong with my kid?
It keeps her quiet. You can make a mess, whatever. I'll clean it up later.
Right. Right. So, Tora, Jamal, do you have anything for our viewers before we get out of here?
I want to say, let your children know that you're growing with them. You know, like we're in this together. We're a team. You know, I don't know everything, but we're gonna get through this together.
We learn it as we go. There's no handbook, like you said. Sometimes you're gonna find out stuff later.
And try to be that role model, because we are human. You know, like we want to teach our children. I didn't get to speak on it before, but you want to teach your children to learn to take accountability, because you don't want them to grow up as these entitled little human beings, you know, that don't know how to apologize and don't know how to own up to, you know, being wrong and saying, you know what, let me take a step back. Maybe I'm the toxic one. Maybe I'm the one that, you know, that was wrong. So,
right.
You know, like I said, we just learning together, and we're growing through it. Growing through it.
That is super dope. And, you know, like I've said to you guys a bunch of different times, it's just really good to see you guys doing it together. Right. In the society that we live in, of course, the narrative is, you know, for us, not necessarily what's going on, but the narrative is that all of the homes are separated. Right. We have some instances where, you know, homes are separated for different reasons. Right. But that's not everybody's situation. Right. You guys are also, if you were late on the episode, Tora and Jamar are also newly engaged, right? I'm gonna say that one more time, newly engaged. And I know Sis about to show the bling off.
Look, we going green, that's our hashtag.
Going green. So and I'm excited to hear that, right? So for any of y'all out there, and what I don't want to do, I don't want to create an atmosphere where you start looking at your man funny after this episode. Like, no, because they getting married now. So I'm just trying to understand why we can't get married. Like, I ain't talking no pressure on nobody.
Time and effort, man. It took us a lot of time to get here, but we here.
Right. We here now, right? Excited for you guys. So Tiffany, do you have for our viewers before we get out of here?
I can say, just be patient with yourself, be patient with your kid. You know, it's okay to put you first sometimes, because if you're not okay, then your kid won't be okay. You know, they pick up on every vibe. You think they're not listening, think they don't understand, but they really do. So make sure you take care of yourself, make yourself happy so your kid can continue to be happy. And, you know, and it's okay if you're just in a single home like me. You know, me and Grace's father may not be together, but we work well as parents. You know, we do the best that we can. And it's okay. Like, you'll survive. You know, God not gonna give you nothing you can't handle. You know, you got this. And, you know, if you need somebody to talk to, you could call me. Just call me. I'm here.
Mother love, call me up. Call me up, right?
Co-parenting tips coming soon.
Right.
Yes.
Co-parenting tips coming soon, right? That's another thing I wanted to highlight, right? Even though Tiffany will say, listen, Grace is with me majority of the time, she stays with me, she always makes sure to say, but her dad is very active, right? And again, that's another thing. People think, oh, they broke up, so like, no, her here, dad here.
It's funny because when we had our breakup time or whatever, and people would say, oh, your baby daddy, I would correct them. No, you mean the father of my child? I don't like that term, baby daddy at all, because, you know, baby daddy, it sounds like that's just the guy that gave you a kid and he left. You know, it was never that situation. Like, from day one, he was there, present, you know, front and center. So I don't like that term, baby daddy. The father of
I hate that word too.
Jamara's father, Tori's father. That's what we say.
Right. And it's really good to hear that, working on different verbiage way to say things, right? Because people perceive things a different way, like when you say it in a different type of way. And that also shows the level of respect that you have for that man, right? Like, no, we're not, no, this is who he is. Like, we're not even gonna do that. So for me, I'm just super excited to have talked about this with you guys. Like, there are a lot of things that I wish I knew before I started parenting. before I had the last kid, and I'm still learning things like to this day, right? So I'm just super excited that you guys were able to share, you know, your experiences with us. Super excited for the people that commented, like everybody that was in our comments. You guys gave great feedback, right? Like super great feedback that even helped me. Like some of the things that you guys were saying, it definitely pushed the conversation. It definitely made me look at myself different, right? And after leaving this, I feel like I'm gonna be that I'm not alone. Oh, okay, sorry, I thought I froze. Knowing that I'm not alone in the parenting thing, and knowing that when I say things a certain kind of way, like I'm not alone in that, right? Like there are other people that do that, other parents that do that, and it's a work in progress, right? And knowing that you're not alone is definitely a great feeling, and because you know that it's something that you can push past. So with that being said, you know, I want to just thank all of my panelists for their time. You guys could have literally been doing anything else, especially, well, except for Tora and Jamar, because they on baby duty right now. But the rest of the parents, you know, that don't have little babies running around, because I know as soon as this is over, I'm gonna be in y'all boat. Except mine's just like to run around like a little bullet. So you know, thank you guys. You guys could have been doing anything else, using your free time, right? As parents, right? Using how crucial free time is. But you guys said, you know what? I'm going to take this time to talk to Trey, talk to other parents, and learn and grow together. So I appreciate you guys. I don't take your time for granted, as well as the viewers, right? If you're watching live, or even if you're watching at another time, there's so much reality TV on. You could be on Instagram watching fight videos, but you said, I want to grow. I want to make myself better so we can be a better we. So I just want to thank you guys for watching. Definitely had a great time with you guys. Next week topic will be Tuesday. I think that's the 22nd. Tuesday the 22nd. The title of the next episode will be I'm a father, but I grew up without a father. So I really want you guys to be a part of that. I can't wait to hear what the men that we have on have to say. If you want to be a part of the episode, you can comment below. You can message me. If you know somebody that would be good for that episode, message me. This is the People's Podcast. I want real people. I'm not looking for the people with the blue checks. I'm looking for the people that's just like me, right? So thank you for watching, guys. I will see you guys next Tuesday.
Good night.
At 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you. Have a good night,
Don't forget to
everyone.
like and subscribe, and that a better me equals a better we.